This year, we turned a $500 work truck into a $100,000 desert racing truck. You guys had a lot to say about it. Did we go too far with this build? Did we not go far enough? We're gonna be assessing all of our builds this year, things we failed in, things we succeeded in, and see what we can learn going into 2025. Welcome to Donut. So let's get right into it with the Ranger. Since we started this truck, a big sentiment, a big concern from a lot of you guys was the cost of this build. We've done high cost builds in the past. High Z, that has over $100,000 worth of parts in it. But you know, we presented that as like the baller build, the rich guy build. What would you do if you had an unlimited budget? So it's not surprising that it would cost that much. With the Ranger, we wanted to emulate what we did with the EG hatch. You know, putting a bunch of baller parts into a crummy car to make it a really awesome car. With the Civic, you know, those are parts that a lot of you guys probably would be saving up for out of pocket. They just happen to be all the sickest parts at the same time. And also, those are all bolt-on parts. You know, we did an engine swap and all that, but those are things that you could do with common hand tools. This guy right here, not the case. A lot of custom fabrication in here. The only stock parts remaining on this truck are the steering column, the cab itself, and the frame rails. Everything else on this thing did not come on the truck when it came off this factory floor. The price of this thing, I think we're approaching 150 grand on this build. We did not set out to do that. The problem is, with desert racing, things are just more expensive. Because of the forces that you encounter out there, you need to have a car that is reliable. You need to have a car that is completely overbuilt if you want to survive out there. And even that wasn't good enough for us. We still broke down a few times. We also spent money on things that we did not expect to spend money on because this is our first time doing this kind of thing. Now we know. There could be a case to be made like, hey, if you wanted to do a budget desert racing series, why not build something like a class 11 buggy or a side-by-side? Truth is though, you're probably still gonna spend like 40 grand on something like a class 11, and those things have a top speed of like 40 miles an hour. Another large contributing factor to the cost of this build was the fact that we leaned on a lot of outside experts to help us build it. People like Factory BS who helped us fabricate this wonderful suspension in here, completely custom fabricated on a time crunch. You know, that costs some money. And that's all because, you know, we want it done right because we did not want to die out in the desert. You know, that's a legit concern. So, you know, that just adds cost to the bill. On the flip side of all this, some people think we didn't go far enough with our build because we had some things break that probably shouldn't have. So let's get into that. All right, so if you watch the video, you know that we broke both of our radius arms. These are the suspension beams that keep our I-beams from moving back and forth. This guy right here. Now, this one is on us. We did not construct these properly. Normally, there is another beam going down below this one that is either attached with smaller pieces of material or a full-on plate. You know, it's our first time doing it. We didn't know that. We have these little chicken leg radius arms here, and that's on us. So before we go out to the desert again, we'll probably end up rebuilding these properly so we don't run into that problem again, because it's really not something that should be breaking. Normally they're pretty bulletproof, so that one's on us. Another aspect of desert racing, very shaky. Things tend to shake themselves apart. Our body here is held on with zip ties down there. It cracked here. Same case with the other side. Our hood is definitely higher than it was before we started the race. I think some stuff came loose under here. As you can see, things are a little misaligned. I think these guys got loose somewhere on the trail. We ended up fixing that. Maybe our biggest issue down in Baja was our alternator. We have still not completely figured out the issue we had yet. It should work the way that it's wired, but it just doesn't work. We went through 6 or 7 of them. I can't exactly remember how many, but it was a very frustrating experience out there. So we will figure that out before we go back out. Second, also, another thing that broke, our mounts for our reservoir here. Normally, it's right here on the hoop there, but we ended up having to zip tie and hose clamp it to the cross member here. We will fix that as well. Again, you don't really know how violent and how strenuous these events are until you do them. So it's all a big learning process. Under the hood, I think that's everything else. Mechanically, very sound truck. No issues with overheating or anything like that. You might notice back here that our spare tires have magically returned, and that's because we had to order new ones and new wheels because they're probably still out there. You're not supposed to do it like this. You know, if you're gonna stack them horizontally, probably gonna use one, otherwise you're gonna run into the same issue that we had with these flopping around and flying out. So optimally, in a vertical position, having 2 of them would work. We just kind of need to rework our fuel tank and spare tire situation before we go back out. And speaking of which, you know, there's a few events next year that I definitely want to hit with this thing. It'd be stupid to build a truck of this caliber and not continue to race it because it is really badass. When it's working, dude, this thing is a weapon. And just learning how to drive a truck like this, preserving it while still being fast, I think we're gonna have a really great time out there. Hopefully we make it happen, and we'll do a little campaign with this guy right here.
It's hard to live freely when you're constantly in debt.
Hey buddy, you still owe me for the last couple of months. How about less talking and more working?
But today's sponsor, PDS Debt, can help you live debt-free.
You owe me rent, a car payment, a blender payment.
PDS Debt works with you to understand your specific debt situation and provide a custom solution. Whether you're struggling with credit cards, medical bills, collections, or personal loans, PDS Debt can help you live debt-free.
Just remember, you live because I let you. Look, he owes me money.
It's time you get out from under the thumb of guys like this. Everyone with $10,000 in eligible debt qualifies, and there's no minimum credit score required. Get a free debt analysis right now at pdsdebt.com/donutmedia. It only takes 30 seconds. That's pdsdebt.com/donutmedia. pdsdebt.com/donutmedia.
Check, please.
Another example of not going far enough, we don't even have a dashboard in here. Like, as far as barren goes compared to other trucks that we saw out there, this thing is as bare bones as it gets, which is kind of fun, but also I would like maybe a dash where we can put more gauges on there and protect our nav system a little more, protect our ECU, which is just hanging out under there. Another example of being shaken to death, our seats are very loose now, either because our bolts came loose or something else is going on, but we gotta, take a look at that. One of the top comments on the Nora video actually was, quote, from Andrew Sporer, a good reminder that it doesn't matter how much you put into your setup, if you don't endurance test your rig, it will punish you. Very correct, Andrew. Unfortunately, with all the other shoots that we had going on, like high-low and some other smaller builds, we just didn't have enough time to just schedule a few test days, where we were just driving it, shaking it down. That, again, is on us, and you're very right. But now that we know where our weak points are, I would say that a 500-mile jaunt through Baja is a pretty good endurance test run. So this will not be the last time that you see the Baja Blaster. We're gonna get back out there. We're gonna have some fun. It's gonna be great. Overall, very happy with the truck. We just have a few big issues that created even bigger problems while we were out on the trail. But in the end, we got our trophy, baby. First place in our class. Was that by default? Yeah, but we still got it. Very, very proud of everyone who worked on this thing. Can't wait to get back out there. Moving on, continuing on with our E36 drift car here now. This started its life as a rally build. We had it on lifted suspension and had snow tires because dirt tires were too expensive. We have a roll cage courtesy of Mike Day, handbrake, all that good stuff. Went out to California City, had a good time with it, then kind of sat. Then an enterprising employee took the car, had the diff welded, and now it's a drift car. So we expanded on that. We put a wide body kit on here, some VSKF wheels on here, the wrap. We did that, I think, in 2023, I wanna say. But this year, we did a little something extra. Let's get a timer for how long it takes Nolan to open the hood. What the I feel something. There we go. Okay, I found it. 2JZ. We had this 2JZ sitting in the office for a couple years. This was the motor that Jer and Joe built when they were doing the engine teardown video. We rebuilt it. It's making about 600 horsepower now. Stock internals, bigger turbo and tune. This thing is an absolute animal. E36 chassis, very forgiving, very fun to drive. Good to learn on, I would say. But now with this extra power, it's gone from like a good learner car to just absolute beast. I love this thing. So what was the impetus, you ask, of putting this thing in? Well, we wanted to set a new high score for the fleet, build our new highest horsepower car, and with 600 horsepower, that was the case for a few months. Not that impressive or high in the scheme of car YouTube, but guess what? We're having the most fun. There is one glaring issue with it. It overheats, which ironically was the issue before we did the engine swap as well. Might have had to do something with testing in 110-degree weather, but hey, that still gives us an excuse for maybe doing some more work on this thing. Oftentimes with our builds, we've definitely been guilty of building cars, finishing them, and then letting them sit. That is not what I want for this car because it is so cool to see sliding around. So you guys will be seeing this more in the future. First up, getting this radiator to a rear window mounted position, let it cool a lot better so we can drive this thing in all types of weather, because guess what? It's pretty dang warm out here in SoCal. But regrettably, the biggest oversight of all, which I feel very bad about, is not showing you this awesome clip in the engine swap video of Joe linking all of AVS. Here you go. That was cool. You know what's this cool? Our Lowrider Miata. This is one of my favorite cars to drive around on the street. One of the coolest cars we've ever built, according to James May. So we wanted to build something completely unique. As far as we know, there's only one other Lowrider Miata in the world. Jimmy and Steph, they went to a few different lowrider shops around Los Angeles to get this thing done. We leaned on a lot of people to help us out. So something that was really important to us while building this lowrider was actually like exploring a scene that is so native to Los Angeles, and there's nothing more LA than a lowrider. And we wanted to build one of our own and learn about the components that go into building these special cars along the way, and boy did we learn. Much like off-road and desert racing, you need to spend a good amount of money on a lowrider to make it reliable, and even then you're still gonna break some stuff. So interesting parallel there. But this thing's got hydraulics. It does not hop all the way off the ground yet, but it does function. It's got wire wheels, a fully custom paint job here. It's so much fun to drive on the street and just see so many people looking at the car, smiling. It's fun to drive stuff like our Mustangs that we'll get to in a sec, and some of our other builds that we've done here, but like this is the one that's gotten the most smiles from people. When you see this thing, you know exactly what it's about, and it's a Miata. Like, that's just funny. So love our Lowrider Miata. If you haven't seen the build process and our exploration of lowrider culture, definitely check that out, because I'm really proud of this thing. It's a really fun car. All right, next up is our high-low Mustangs. This is our 5th season of doing high-low. We got our budget-minded low car right here, the Misery Machine, and our super baller, super expensive, no expenses spared, high car, the Red Rocket. I love these cars. You know, this is something we've wanted to do for a long time, is build drag cars, and I'm super stoked that we finally got to do it. By comparison to the previous seasons of high-low, we took a vastly different approach with these cars. Normally with the low cars, we'll buy whatever cheap crap we can find on eBay or Amazon or Hawk Temu or whatever, and that ends up building cars like that one over there. We've had to break and fix a lot of stuff on the previous low cars, with the exception of low truck. So this season, I want to take a more realistic approach and see what really could be accomplished on a reasonable budget. For low car, we had a budget of $10,000 for our modifications, and when it came to performance, we came pretty close to the unlimited budget car. I'm really proud of it. You know, I love the Red Rocket. You can street drive this. We could have driven it to Tucson for our finale if we wanted to. The same could not be said for the low carb. All that being said, I think the Misery Machine beats High Team every time if it comes to performance per dollar spent. And I think you're gonna see that theme pop up a lot more next year. That's something we want to explore, even deeper performance for the dollar. I love that we put these liveries on them. I think we should have been naming the high and low cars for a while now. So overall, guys, I'm really, really happy with this season of high-low with these Mustangs. Our team did a great job putting it together, and if you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. I think it's one of the best seasons out there, and you're gonna see more of these cars in the future, very near future for this car, just a couple weeks. And you know what? We still gotta get in the 10s at the quarter mile with the Misery Machine, and I think we still have some time left in the Red Rocket. This thing should be deep into the 10s, I think, with how much money and how much adjustment is present on this car. We got some animals here. We got a whole dang zoo in this parking lot. There's so many beasts. All right, speaking of older cars and seeing more of them in the future, let's go check out some Subarus. Here are our high and low Subaru WRXs. That's right, Subi fans, buckle up. They're back. Anyway, this year, we fixed the fatal flaw in these cars. We upgraded the transmissions. These are the base level WRXs. Their 5 speeds are not super strong. When you put more than 400 horsepower through them, they tend to explode, and they did, both of them. So, high car got a WRX STI transmission with some upgraded differentials. This guy, we upgraded the internals, put a brace, I think, on the outside of the transmission. It has a dogleg 3rd gear that is interesting to get used to and interesting to drive on the street. After the upgrades, these things were awesome until they weren't. Just kidding, we don't have footage of any of that because we took this thing out to the track on a normal track day. Jeremiah was driving and the blow-off valve turned into a blew-off valve. So it's been inoperable, we just haven't had the time to fix it. High car is technically fine. In fact, Donut employees here will take it out from time to time. The orange that we chose for the wrap loves to just fade into this weird peach color after like 3 months. I mean, this is actually the 2nd time this car's been wrapped because it turns this lovely peach color. Like I said, we upgraded these transmissions. They drive beautifully when they want to, but the work is not done. I have a very fun idea for our little Subaru here. I think we're gonna see our Subarus part ways in terms of functionality. This will still remain a cool track/street car, but our low WRX right here, it deserves to live its best Subaru life out on the dirt, I think. We're still working that out, still trying to keep within that budget-minded mindset, and I think this thing's gonna be a lot of fun when we're done with it. So there's still a lot of fun to be had with this car right here, and expect to see a lot of these cars, even ones that are over there on the rack on the channel as well. Because see the turquoise? See that thing? Remember that thing? We got some plans for that. Oh, what's that Jeep? Oh, you'll see that too. Let's keep it moving. From the Imp to the Impulse. These are two personal cars that you guys saw on the channel, as well as Tristan's LS400, Jimmy's S13, Christina's Subaru, James's E30. We were super stoked to show you guys our project and daily drivers here on the channel with our drag race videos. We got more videos coming with our own personal cars, and we're super stoked for it. I think you guys are gonna like it. I mean, I got a freaking EF Civic on the rack over there. That could use some love. Just saying. And finally, one last build that we started this year that we have not finished yet is our Unclapped FRS. You know, Tristan wanted to prove that you could take an absolute bucket and get it into SEMA. Now, we do have an absolute bucket, but next year we're hopefully gonna get it over to Las Vegas, get it in front of you guys. It may look pretty rough right now, but one of my favorite things about Tristan that he really takes his time. He shows a lot of attention to detail. He bought a steam cleaner to clean the wheel wells out. He painted the knuckles that were already, just to get a little idea of like how detail oriented he is. He's got some wild plans for this guy right here. We've got a really cool body kit lined up for it. We already have these work Meister wheels here. If you're unclued about Unclapped, you gotta check those videos out. Tristan does a great job on this thing, and again, the end result is gonna be awesome. So definitely make sure you check out Unclapped. All right, this year has been insane. I forgot half the stuff we did out there. To help us all remember though, here's a little recap we cooked up for you guys. Roll that tape. Oh my God, okay.
Here's a few comments from YouTube.
Chance, can we get a child on fire?
Hey there, you like PT Cruisers?
Second gear! Yeah!
That looks really good.
That looks insane.
That looks awesome.
Assessing, overcoming, and adapting.
All right, sure.
Stock, no matter what.
That is legit the fastest car I've been in.
What?
Yes.
How's that even possible?
I don't know.
I might accidentally kill Jimmy.
My entire perception of reality is fractured right now.
All right, I just want to thank you guys so much for joining us on this journey this year. We literally could not do this without you, so thank you for allowing us the privilege to do what we do. We got some huge plans next year. You're gonna see this guy going off-road again, that Subaru I talked about. That thing's gonna be going off-road as well. Maybe not this, but you know, it'll be off-road. We got a lot of plans. It's gonna be a great time. Yeah, I just really can't express my gratitude enough, so thank you very much. Hit that subscribe button if you wanna join us for 2025. We'll see you next time.